Over 2,000 years ago, the ancient people in China built these mysterious caves. Scattered throughout Linshui County, intriguing rock-cut doorways lead to passageways that span hundreds of meters directly into the hillsides. One of the largest sites is known as the Xichang Cliff Tombs. Inside these caves, there are many unexplained patterns all over the walls. There are tens of thousands of these mysterious cave tombs in Sichuan alone. Farmers have been found using the ones closest to the ground for storage, and surprisingly even garbage dumps. But the highest tombs on the cliffside are still largely unexplored. During the Han Dynasty, freestanding rocks were also used to bury the dead. Referred to as boulder tombs, they have the same distinct rectangular cut entrances. And with many of them still to explore, we can only begin to wonder what ancient artifacts are still waiting to be discovered. 2,800 years ago, during the archaic period of ancient Greece, the people of Naxos began a colossal project. The plan was to carve a statue of the Greek god Apollo. So the local people got out their chisels and hammers and began cutting a massive 80-ton section of marble away from the bedrock. The Kouros of Apollonius measures over 10 meters in height, yet it's not the only unfinished statue in this ancient quarry. Just meters away in the Naxos marble quarry lays the Kouros of Potamia. Strangely, the face is missing, and there are clear scratches on the foot stumps. There is even a third unfinished colossus, located in a local village garden. Kouroi of Flario is a 4.7-meter-long statue and lays there with missing feet and a broken leg. But why are these statues seemingly abandoned? In the year 2000, a local farmer in the Huangshan region of China was working the land when he stumbled upon something incredible. As he pushed his spade into the ground, it gave way and a huge hole opened up. Upon his discovery, he alerted the authorities, who brought in experts to investigate. And what they found shocked everybody. The farmer's accidental discovery had opened up a vast ancient man-made cave network. This secret underground labyrinth consisted of 36 grottos, stretching all the way underneath the hill and an incredible area of 12,000 square meters. As archaeologists investigated further, they found stone rooms, stone beds, bridges, buildings, and stone water pools. Nobody knows who built this underground labyrinth, but there are strange tool markings all over the walls, almost machine-like. And the strangest thing of all is there is absolutely no sign of the millions of tons of rock which were excavated by hand, using only chisels and hammers. In the 1960s, local farmers in the Tlaxcala region of Mexico stumbled upon some mysterious ancient ruins. German archaeologist Bodo Sprans was called in to investigate. As Sprans removed layers of dirt and vegetation, amazingly, hidden underneath was a huge ancient pyramid. Excavations uncovered a vast wealth of ancient artifacts, but it wasn't until the 1990s when archaeologists got inside. And what they found there shocked everybody. Inside the pyramid were the burials of more than 30 children. They were accompanied by one adult and a variety of offerings. Beads of green stone were placed in the mouths of some of the children in order to accompany them on their journey to the underworld, as they were sacrificed to the gods. In 1953, in the village of Vix in France, French archaeologist René Geoffroy discovered something extraordinary. The region around Vix had long been of interest to archaeologists due to the presence of large burial mounds and evidence of Celtic settlements. As they dug into one of the mounds here, they suddenly struck something which was about to send shockwaves through the archaeological community. The first artifact they uncovered was a massive Greek-made bronze crater, standing around 1.6 meters high, the largest known metal vessel from antiquity. Next, they came across gold jewelry, ceramic vessels, and eventually a wooden chariot. What the team had found was the burial site of the Lady of Vix, a Celtic woman of high status from the 6th century BC. The presence of Greek-made goods in a Celtic burial site highlights the extensive trade networks between cultures across ancient Europe. In 2003, in modern-day Sudan, Swiss archaeologist Charles Bonnet discovered something which would profoundly change our understanding of sub-Saharan African history. Located just over a mile from the archaeological site of Kerma, Bonnet uncovered a vast ancient place which had been hidden by the desert sands for centuries. This incredible historical site has reshaped our understanding of ancient Nubia, which throughout history has been seen as insignificant in comparison to its better-known neighbor, Egypt. One of the most significant findings was a large number of statues and fragments depicting Egyptian pharaohs and gods, which were intentionally broken and buried in a pit. These artifacts date back 3,500 years to when Egypt occupied Nubia. It's believed that the deliberate burial of these statues could represent an act of defiance against Egyptian rule, a ritual and symbolic killing of the occupiers of the Kingdom of Kush. In 2022, archaeologists researching the ancient springs in Tuscany made an incredible discovery. The ancient thermal baths here are believed to have been built by the Etruscans in the 2nd century BC. This ancient sanctuary was closed in the 5th century AD, and the pools were sealed with heavy stone pillars. When archaeologists removed them, what they found shocked everybody. Underneath the stones, and still laying in the highly dense mineral waters, were 24 beautifully preserved bronze statues. The statues had laid there, soaked in the highly dense mineral waters for centuries, which helped to preserve them until this day. Alongside the bronze statues, the archaeologists also discovered an incredible 6,000 ancient gold, silver, and bronze coins in what is said to be one of the most important discoveries since the Riace bronzes, which you can watch by clicking related video. In 2016, whilst exploring a small town in Bosnia, Semir Osmanagic, an independent researcher with a keen interest in ancient civilizations, stumbled upon something incredible. Osmanagic had heard about a number of small stone spheres in the region. Deciding to check out the claims for himself, he spotted something poking out of the ground. What he had discovered was a giant stone sphere weighing around 30 tons and measuring a colossal 1.5 meters in diameter. It is claimed that this huge stone sphere is man-made, much like the stone spheres in Costa Rica, but doubts have been cast over this claim, with some skeptics believing the giant sphere is a natural formation. In 1940, French Egyptologist Pierre Monte began excavating in Tanis, Egypt, where he discovered something extremely rare. The archaeologists thought they were excavating a temple, but as they cleared away the debris, they realized it was in fact a huge crypt. Mysteriously, the entrance was sealed with a large slab of stone, and when they removed it, they found a corridor lined with fascinating inscriptions and 3 antechambers. One of the chambers was sealed by a heavy granite door, which had to be forced open. But inside lay something incredible, a sarcophagus made entirely of silver, and inside that was an inner coffin made of gold. What Monte had discovered was the mummy of Pharaoh Susanus I, and his final resting place was filled with golden artifacts and incredible treasures dating back nearly 3,000 years. In 1992, in Malagana, Colombia, a sugarcane farm worker was driving a tractor across the fields when suddenly the ground gave way. The man in the tractor had been swallowed up by a huge sinkhole in the ground. The farm worker was shaken, but eventually came to his senses, realizing he was in an ancient underground chamber. In the eerie silence, the worker's eyes began to adjust to the incredible sight that surrounded him. Scattered around the chamber were golden artifacts, pottery, and remnants of a long-forgotten ancient civilization. The news of the discovery spread quickly, and hundreds of illegal looters descended upon the site. Taking what they could, they began selling off the artifacts to collectors and melting down the gold. In what's now known as the Malagana treasure, it's estimated that 180 kilograms of pre-Columbian gold artifacts were taken, some estimated to be over 3,000 years old. On the 16th of August 1972, whilst diving off the coast of Reggio Calabria, a Roman diver made an incredible discovery. Stefano Mariottini was diving at a depth of 8 meters in the warm waters of Marina di Riace when he noticed a hand sticking out of the sandy bottom. At first, he believed he had discovered a body. Understandably concerned, he began digging relentlessly into the murky sea floor until he suddenly saw a strange face staring back at him. Incredibly, what Mariottini had discovered was in fact 2 bronze statues believed to date back to the year 450 BC. Now known as the Riace bronzes, both statues are almost 2 meters in height and are considered to represent Greek warriors. In the following days, divers tied ropes to the bronzes, and using air-filled balloons, they carefully lifted the bronze statues to the surface. This incredibly detailed marble foot is part of a giant sculpture depicting the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. It was discovered at an archaeological site in Turkey in 2008. This stunning 2,700-year-old sculpture was unearthed by archaeologists in Iraq. The Lamassu statue weighs an incredible 18 tons, but unfortunately the head was stolen by thieves. The giant Olmec head statues weigh up to 50 tons each. The first one was discovered in 1862 in Mexico. A total of 17 of these colossal heads have been discovered so far. The colossal statue of Ramses II was discovered in 1820 and is around 10 meters tall. This ancient Egyptian sculpture is 3,300 years old. In 2018, archaeologists discovered this colossal statue in Cairo. Intriguingly, this 2,600-year-old statue was purposefully destroyed, but nobody knows why. Not far from Giza, in the middle of the Egyptian desert, lies a little-known ancient structure. This is the site of Abu Rawash, where archaeologists have found mysterious traces of a fourth lost pyramid. When you get closer, there's a real surprise: an incredible stairway in the middle of nowhere, plunging directly down a narrow trench. There was once a roof on top, hiding it from plain sight. But what is it? Several theories exist, including a Roman stepwell to collect water, to an unfinished entrance leading down to an underground structure, but nobody quite knows for sure. High in the Geralta Mountains, in the Tigray region of Ethiopia, you can find an astonishing ancient site. Located at approximately 2,600 meters above sea level, there is an entrance to something that people are willing to take an unbelievable risk to reach. Around 1,500 years ago, a civilization called the Aksumite decided that the closest way to get to God was to build something unimaginable. So they loaded up their chisels and hammers and climbed the steep cliff face to create a monolithic church in an incredible demonstration of faith. Despite its challenging location and difficult access, the church remains an active place of worship. Local communities and priests make the arduous journey up the cliffs to conduct religious ceremonies and services, including baptisms and masses. The church is especially crowded during major Christian holidays, where people from surrounding areas gather for communal worship to God. Whilst exploring an ancient Egyptian pyramid, a team of German and Egyptian researchers made an incredible discovery. The pyramid is located at the ancient site of Abusir, and it dates back to the 5th dynasty, making it approximately 4,300 years old. When the researchers meticulously scanned the pyramid in the hope of locating hidden chambers, even with the hunch they had, they could have never imagined what would happen next. Using a portable LiDAR scanner, they scanned the pyramid to create a detailed 3D map of the narrow corridors and chambers inside. The team got excited when the scans came back showing the passage led to several underground structures. So far, the team have uncovered 8 storerooms intended to hold precious royal burial objects, and they're hoping that the Egyptian government will allow them to scan other ancient pyramids next. Archaeologists say it's a coincidence, but the ancient handbag, as it is now known, has quickly become a historical enigma, baffling scholars around the world. The mainstream narrative says that each ancient civilization developed independently, with little to no connection with each other. Yet the ancient handbag symbol has now been discovered in almost all ancient cultures. It first appears at Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, which dates back to 11,600 years ago. It also shows up in Mesopotamia, ancient Greece, ancient Egypt, and the Balkans. But strangely, despite the vast Atlantic Ocean and over 7,000 miles between them, the ancient handbag symbol appears in the Mesoamerican cultures, such as the Toltec, the Maya, and even the Olmec. Some people believe that this symbol represents a transference or handing down of ancient knowledge. Some even believe this could be a symbolic representation of some form of ancient technology. Located next to the Barana Tower in the town of Totonac in Kyrgyzstan are hundreds of mysterious ancient grave markers, locally known as balbals. Each stone was carved with distinct facial features, postures, and even weapons. Although these balbals are concentrated here, there are hundreds more located all throughout Kyrgyzstan. But mysteriously, 2,000 kilometers away in Iran, there is another ancient site with over 400 more. The archaeological site of Shariyeri dates back an astonishing 4,000 years. But wait, I nearly forgot. Scattered across Russia, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, and Mongolia are the Kurgan stela. I even found examples in Italy and Azerbaijan, again dating back to 4,000 years ago. And how do we explain this 6,000-year Babel in Saudi Arabia? Could these ancient cultures and civilizations be connected, even if there is a total of 15,000 kilometers between them? 5,000 years ago, a monumental pyramid city was built in southern Peru. This ancient city has a staggering 6 pyramids, which are terraced and contain various rooms and corridors. The site features circular sunken plazas, which are architecturally unique, and the city's complex network of streets, pathways, and staircases connecting different levels demonstrates a deep understanding of geometry and spatial organization. Cairo is significant because it challenges the traditional view that complex societies could only arise after the development of agriculture. Evidence has been found that Cairo was part of a vast trade network. They've even found musical instruments and administration records. In the late 19th century, Augustus Leplongeon, a French-American photographer and amateur archaeologist, visited the lost ancient Maya site of Chichen Itza. As Augustus cleared the overgrowth with the help of his wife Alice and a team of helpers, they discovered something truly horrifying. What drove Augustus to excavate here was his firm belief that the Maya civilization was the mother culture of all ancient civilizations, including ancient Egypt and the lost city of Atlantis. It was part way through the excavation when they discovered a mysterious and intricately carved limestone statue, characterized by its reclined position with the head turned to one side and holding a dish or a bowl on its stomach. It is believed to have been used in ritualistic human sacrifices. Disturbingly, it is said that the tray which rests on the Chakmul's stomach was used to hold the still-beating heart of a sacrificial victim. This is the Byzantine sundial calendar. It's a compact and portable clock with gears. Just like the Antikythera mechanism, it can show the time and day in 16 different cities and regions in Greek. And if that wasn't impressive enough, it can also give the relative positions of the sun and moon, and incredibly, it can even display the phases of the moon. This 1,500-year-old masterpiece demonstrates a deep knowledge of astronomy and advanced mathematics. But incredibly, it's not the only one. These were widely distributed at the time of the Byzantine Empire, and several of them have survived until the present day. Nobody knows who built it, but we do know that this underground city could protect up to 20,000 people. But from what? Mysteriously, the city could be closed with these 1,000-pound stone doors, which can only be opened and leveraged from the inside. The city reaches deep underground, with several levels stretching for miles. It has hundreds of tunnels and chambers, including churches, schools, and food storage facilities. If needed, the ancient people could shelter underground for months, possibly even years. The city had a sophisticated ventilation system, with ventilation shafts bringing fresh air deep into the underground levels. This ancient place must have taken many years to build. But what's really strange is that the whole city was created with only chisels and hammers. Strategically situated on a monolithic rock close to the Tigris River in the southwest of Turkey, you'll find Ejil Kalisi and its ancient tombs. These incredible structures were carved directly from the bedrock, which is an extraordinary feat for the tools of the time. Nobody is really sure who built this intriguing structure, but on the west side of the castle, a cuneiform relief was discovered, which only appears for 1 minute at sunset. From this, archaeologists dated the site back to 3,000 years ago. However, researchers believe it could be around 8,000 years old. It is believed that the Assyrians discovered the castle, which was already built at the time. But there is another interesting part of this historical site: its mysterious ancient tunnels. There are 4 known tunnels carved directly through the rock, and it is believed there are more yet to be discovered that could stretch as far as the Tigris River and the bathhouse in the valleys. At first, you may think this incredible ancient statue is nothing out of the ordinary. Of course, the statue is amazingly detailed and carved with laser precision, which is extraordinary within itself. But this statue shares all of the same features as its twin statue. Yes, there are two of these bad boys. These mysterious ancient Olmec twin statues were discovered in 1943 by archaeologist Matthew Sterling and are known as el-Azuzul. The statues were carved from a single piece of basalt and are depicted wearing jaguar pelts, which was a significant symbol in the Olmec culture. Carving a statue from a single piece of rock is a labor-intensive process that requires careful planning and execution. Any mistake could ruin the entire piece. Not to mention, this process was before the use of metal tools such as chisels and hammers, so according to archaeologists, this would have had to have been done with stone tools. In 1785, Spanish government inspector Diego Ruiz visited Veracruz in Mexico. His intentions were to survey the area for a tobacco monopoly, but what he found when he got there stunned everybody. Diego had stumbled upon the once thriving capital of the Totonac people, an ancient place that had been lost to the jungle for over 500 years. This vast site features an incredible 17 ball courts, as well as palaces, temples, and plazas. But the most impressive monument is the El-Hawa Pyramid. This structure, dating back approximately 1,400 years, has 365 niches, which are said to represent the days of the year. But not only that, the pyramid and other structures at El-Hawa show evidence of being aligned with astronomical events. It seems the Totonac people had some form of advanced knowledge of astronomy, creating astronomical observatories to track the solar and lunar cycles. Under the city of Osimo in Italy lies a dense network of ancient tunnels, passages, and underground shelters. There are a total of 88 caves dug at various levels, at least 12 narrow underground escape passages, and even food storage facilities. But strangely, nobody knows who built these caves or why. The vast network is believed to date back to ancient times, and it's at least 2,000 to 3,000 years old. These extensive tunnels and chambers are adorned with mysterious inscriptions and strange carvings that have baffled archaeologists and historians since its discovery. There is simply nothing in the history books. Although not widely accepted by archaeologists, from the inscriptions that have been identified so far, they are believed to contain esoteric symbolism that refers to legendary places such as Atlantis and the Temple of Solomon. In 1974, when local farmer Sisinio Patti was plowing his field, he suddenly hit a rock. Not suspecting anything out of the ordinary, he began to clear the rocks away, as he had done several times before, though this time he noticed something strange. The rocks were unusual in their shape and had mysterious carvings on them. When archaeologists were brought in to excavate the area, they quickly realized the significance of the discovery. What the farmer had found were several 3,000-year-old ancient statues, and his field was in fact sitting on top of a vast ancient cemetery. As the archaeologists pieced the ancient fragments back together, they found these strange ancient statues reached heights of 2.5 meters, or just over 8 feet. The giants of Monte Prama are believed to be guardians of the dead, placed at tombs to protect the deceased in the afterlife. But some researchers believe these statues represent giants that actually existed several thousands of years ago. The sarcophagus of the spouses is an ancient artifact dating back to the 6th century BCE. It was created by the Etruscans, an ancient civilization that lived in what is now modern-day Italy, before the rise of the Roman Empire and their assimilation into it. This intricately sculpted 2,600-year-old ancient sarcophagus is made out of terracotta, a type of earthenware clay that has been fired at a low temperature. It's nearly 2 meters long, and it is said to have been made with chisels, hammers, and wooden or bone spatulas. It was discovered in the 19th century in a tomb in the Banditaction necropolis near Cerveteri in Italy. It is one of several similar sarcophagi, but it is particularly famous for its detailed and intricate sculpting. This remarkable artifact is called the Hercules armor of Emperor Maximilian II. It's a full suit of plate armor made from steel and weighs approximately 25 kilograms. This Bible comes equipped with a hidden gun. Just pull the bookmark and bam! The gun can even be used whilst the book is closed. Created in 1440, nearly 600 years ago, this is the Bezelfoot Reliquary. This Christian relic is made from silver, copper, gold, enamel, pearls, gemstones, and glass. This ancient Egyptian armor is made entirely of crocodile skin. Although heavy and difficult to wear in the desert heat, it would give very good protection from enemy forces. This 500-year-old German hunting knife is also a gun. But if you thought that was incredible, it's also a calendar. This ancient doorway, cut directly out of the rock, is called the Kapilakaya rock tomb. It's located atop of a rocky mountain in Kirkdalem. This mysterious tomb dates back to the Hellenistic period, meaning it was created around 2,300 years ago. Intriguingly, although it's called a tomb, no remains have ever been found. Archaeologists believe the tomb was looted at some point during history, and whatever was inside was stolen. The sides of the tomb are narrow, but a person can easily fit down. The tomb walls are adorned with modern-day graffiti, but you can see how straight they are. That's some really impressive chisel and hammer work. It's more obvious on the second side that the walls seem to slope inwards, making them wider at the bottom and more narrow at the top. If they chiseled from the bottom up, those ancient people would have had biceps for days. But the most interesting part of all is that there is nothing behind it, meaning the only entrance is the small square cut out of the middle, just enough space, I guess, to push a body through. In 1872, workers digging a hole for a new fence post in New Hampshire discovered a dark, mysterious stone. This egg-shaped object has strange, mysterious symbols and depictions carved directly into it, including an ear of corn, a creepy-looking face, and some unexplained geometric patterns. Widely labeled as an out-of-place artifact, the stone is made from quartzite and has 2 precision-cut holes, which are bored into both ends. Experts believe it could have been displayed on a rod or worn around a person's neck. The Lake Winnipesaukee Mystery Stone has puzzled archaeologists and historians for decades. Whilst skeptics are quick to call it a hoax, its origin, age, and purpose all remain unknown. This has led some researchers to speculate that this could be an artifact left behind from a lost ancient civilization. In the Nazca region of southern Peru, you can find these fascinating spirals carved into the sun-baked earth. Known as the Nazca Aqueducts, they channel fresh water from the Andean mountain springs to the arid plains of the Nazca region. These captivating corkscrew-style structures were built by the Nazca civilization over 2,000 years ago. Surprisingly, they have survived until this day with very little maintenance, demonstrating the advanced engineering skills of the ancient Nazca people. The system consists of several components, including underground channels, surface canals, and spiral-shaped access points known as puquios. The puquios help to keep the water fresh for the local people who still use these aqueducts today. In September 1959, during a routine military exercise at Mount Ararat, a Turkish army captain stumbled upon something extraordinary. Having grown up hearing the stories of Noah's Ark, Captain Derupinar couldn't believe his eyes as he peered upon a boat-shaped formation in the ground. A team of archaeologists were called to investigate in what would become more than a 60-year project. Initially, the site was dismissed as a geological anomaly, but it wasn't until 2019 when things changed quickly. A ground-penetrating radar scan revealed subterranean layers and angular structures, which is uncommon when looking at natural formations, specifically parallel lines 9 feet below the ground and what looked to be rooms. The team also discovered drogue stones, which they believe were used to stabilize the boat. As a next step, the archaeologists plan to do core drilling directly into where the scans revealed abnormalities to confirm if this really is Noah's Ark. When Spanish archaeologists were excavating at the historical site of Qubbet el-Hawa in 2012, they discovered something startling. This ancient Egyptian site is known for its elaborate rock-cut tombs and was first excavated in the late 1800s by British archaeologist Sir Flinders Petrie. It's been the site of several incredible ancient discoveries over the years, but nothing quite like this. The experienced team had been working for weeks, carefully mapping out the dig area and excavating layer by layer. They'd already found Egyptian pottery shards, fragments of statues, and intriguing inscriptions. But when they cleared away the remaining sand and discovered this 3,800-year-old wooden sarcophagus, everybody was shocked. As Professor Serrano opened the mysterious black coffin, they found an undisturbed mummy of a high-ranking official from the ancient city of Elephantine. Later excavations unearthed a total of 20 ancient Egyptian mummies, making this a very significant historical discovery. This ancient Egyptian statue depicting Ramses II was discovered in the Temple of Karnak in 1824. It was acquired by Bernardino Dravetti, an Italian antiquities collector and diplomat, and it now sits in a museum in Italy. It's part of a collection of Egyptian artifacts known as the Dravetti Collection. Incredibly, the statue is over 3,200 years old. It's made of a blended composition of granite and diorite. These are two of the hardest materials on the planet, making it extremely difficult to to carve, especially with the tools archaeologists have told us were used. Yet it stands at almost 2 meters tall and is carved with almost laser precision. How was this possible with only chisels and hammers? Sarmizegetusa Regia is an ancient archaeological site located in Romania. This historical place is approximately 2,000 years old and was the capital and the most important military, religious, and political center of a civilization called the Dacians. The Dacians were an ancient people who lived in the area that is now modern-day Romania and Moldova. One of the most fascinating aspects of this ancient place is its solar calendar, known as the Andesite sun. This circular construction is thought to have been used to track celestial events. Like many ancient civilizations, it appears the Dacians had a good understanding of astronomy. According to historical accounts, this ancient city was incredibly wealthy and filled with treasures. However, when the Romans conquered and destroyed the city, much of its wealth was looted. The whereabouts of many of these artifacts remain a mystery. Before the Inca, before the Maya, before the Olmecs and the Aztecs, there was another much older advanced ancient civilization in Peru. We have no idea who they were, but discoveries in this region of South America date back much further than anything we have discovered previously, covering an area of 164,000 square feet. Sacrificial is one of those ancient places. This fascinating historical site dates back to around 3,500 BCE, meaning the step pyramid discovered here is the oldest in the world at approximately 5,500 years old. But there was still something even more surprising yet to be uncovered. When archaeologists were documenting the stone reliefs that they had found at this ancient place, they discovered something very mysterious. One particular stone relief showed a strange hand like nothing we've seen before. In 1899, while traveling through the desert of northern Syria, Max von Oppenheim, a German diplomat and archaeologist, stumbled upon something extraordinary. He noticed a strange mound with smooth rock protruding out of the sand. To his amazement, it appeared to be the headdress of an ancient statue. Upon returning to the site in 1911, Oppenheim and his team began to excavate. As the days turned into weeks, the scale of their discovery became increasingly apparent. Beneath the desert surface, they uncovered an expansive palace complex and several megalithic statues and even a sphinx. The artifacts they discovered dated back over 3,000 years. Interestingly, the location of the quarried basalt was found to be 57 kilometers away, leaving archaeologists scratching their heads, trying to figure out how these huge monolithic basalt blocks were transported all the way to the ancient palace at Tel Halaf. In 1978, workers were digging to install an underground electrical cable at the main square in Mexico City when they made a startling discovery. The engineers had found a large mysterious stone disc which had strange depictions on it. It turned out these carvings were of the Aztec moon goddess, and further excavations revealed that a vast Aztec temple had lay hidden underneath the city for centuries. Discoveries have been ongoing ever since, but it wasn't until August 2023 when archaeologists discovered something that blew everybody away. As they cleared the rubble, there lay an intriguing stone box. Inside was 15 anthropomorphic figurines, 2 rattlesnake-designed earrings, 135 green stone beads, and 1,942 seashells. But the crazy thing is, these figurines predate the temple by 1,000 years. 4,000 years ago, a civilization called the Ancient Maya began a complex society that would do anything to appease their gods. The Maya loved the color red, and blood was considered a potent source of life force and a powerful offering. They truly believed that the gods were responsible for the agricultural cycle, and therefore their ability to eat and feed their people. The Maya recognized that the greatest offering of all was human sacrifice. The most iconic method was performed by a priest who would use a flint knife to cut deep into the chest, ripping out the victim's still beating heart. The sacrifice was usually part of a larger ceremony, which included music, dancing, and ritual bloodletting by the participants. And then there was the Maya ball game called pits. The rules were simple: hit the ball through the hoop without using your hands. But make no mistake, this was a must-win game, as the losing team would also be sacrificed. In the late 19th century, the local people of the Atacama Desert in northern Chile discovered something incredible. Hidden beneath the desert sand was an unusual-looking mummified man. But it wasn't until the birth of radiocarbon dating, some years later, that we finally realized the significance of this discovery. The Chinchorro people lived in the coastal regions of what is now northern Chile and southern Peru as far back as 7000 BC. Since the initial discovery, there have been many more mysterious mummies found in the region. They represent one of the oldest known instances of deliberate mummification by humans. The mummies are categorized into three types: the black mummies, which are the oldest type, at 7,000 years old; the red mummies, which are approximately 4,500 years old; and the mud-coated mummies, which are around 4,000 years old. In the 1950s, a team of experienced archaeologists made one of the most important discoveries in history as they ventured into one of the northwestern shore Dead Sea caves at Qubbet Qumran. They meticulously surveyed the vast dark chambers looking for artifacts. Just as they were about to move on to the next cave, one of the team found something extraordinary. Hidden inside a gap in the cave's rock wall was a mysterious copper scroll, which was covered in Hebrew writing dating back over 2,000 years. The scroll was carefully transported back and delicately unrolled, revealing an ancient document containing some startling information. The Copper Dead Sea Scroll contained a detailed list of hidden treasures, but not only that, it detailed their locations. When archaeologists began to study the Nuragic civilization in more detail, they discovered the holy well of Santa Cristina. But this is no ordinary well. The precisely constructed 3,000-year-old well is made from blocks of basalt, and it features a staircase leading down to an underground chamber where the water is collected. Incredibly, the stones are perfectly fitted without the use of mortar, but that isn't even the most intriguing part of this ancient place. This mysterious well is precisely aligned with the moon, and specifically its 18.6-year cycle. During this cycle, the moon appears at its southernmost and northernmost points, and the well is aligned so that the moonlight illuminates the water. This precise alignment suggests that the Nuragic people had a level of astronomical knowledge and advanced engineering skills that goes beyond mere coincidence. In 2013, a team of archaeologists made a remarkable discovery. During excavation works at Wadi El Jarf, they came across a gallery that had been sealed with huge stone blocks. Intriguingly, the blocks were marked with the cartouche of Pharaoh Khufu. After seeking help from the local people, they dragged the blocks out of the gallery to find a miraculous 4,500-year-old logbook made of papyrus. The logbook belonged to a man called Meyer, who is believed to have been an inspector in charge of a team of 200 workers. The logbook explains how he oversaw the transportation of limestone blocks from 10 miles away at the quarries of Tura to the Giza Plateau, where the Great Pyramid was being constructed. The entry logs describe how the limestone blocks were transported by boat to a huge artificial harbor called the Basin of Khufu at Giza. The papyrus also details what the ancient Egyptians called the Great Pyramid of Giza. It was known as the Horizon of Khufu. In 2015, researchers discovered something remarkable inside this 1,000-year-old ancient Chinese statue. Experts from the Drenz Museum wanted to study the statue further and sent it for a CT scan. When the results came back, everybody was shocked. It showed the mummified remains of a Buddhist monk in the exact same seated position as the statue. The monk practiced a rare form of self-mummification, which he believed to be a path to becoming a living Buddha. This process involved stripping fat from the body with a strict diet for 1,000 days. This was followed by a special ritual to reduce bodily fluids. By consuming toxic tea, the Buddha would violently vomit again and again. In the final stage, the monk was sealed alive inside the statue, where he would meditate until death. A small air tube provided ventilation, and a bell would be rung daily to signal that he was still alive. Once the bell stopped ringing, the tube was removed and the statue sealed forever. These spooky-looking anthropomorphic statues could quite easily be confused with something from Planet of the Apes, known as the Palakshan Babas. These mysterious stone sculptures can be found standing in countries such as Hungary, Ukraine, Russia, and Mongolia, as well as many others. Archaeologists believe that these stone statues depict human figures. However, many people are skeptical given the strange features like the almond-shaped eyes and elongated bodies. It is said they were created by the nomadic tribes from countries hundreds of years ago and used as grave markers or memorials for notable individuals. The statues are often shown holding their hands together or holding a weapon. Mysteriously, a lot of the faces appear to be worn away, despite other features still being present. And since we can't carbon date stone, perhaps these statues date back to a time where apes really did rule the planet. In 2007, whilst searching Google Earth, Dimitri Day stumbled across something incredible etched into the landscape of a remote region of Kazakhstan. Dimitri had no idea at the time, but what he had discovered had shocking implications for the timeline of our history. The steppe geoglyphs are a remarkable series of large-scale earthworks, some stretching as big as 400 meters in diameter, along with mounds and pyramid-type structures. He also stumbled upon some mysterious geoglyphs. The formations are from an unknown ancient civilization, and incredibly, there are at least 260 of these prehistoric structures found molded into the vast deserted landscape. In 2015, NASA took the first photos of the steppe geoglyphs from space and admitted that its scientists were no closer to solving the mystery. Remarkably, these ancient landmarks are said to date back as far as 10,000 years ago. By comparison, the Nazca lines in Peru were only built around 1,500 years ago. Since the 1950s, the incredible sunken city of Baia has been the subject of numerous studies and underwater expeditions. This ancient underwater site, which is located near Naples in Italy, was established around the 2nd century BCE, making it approximately 2,200 years old. This ancient complex was a popular resort destination for wealthy Romans who used to come here to get away from the missus. It even had famous Roman visitors, such as Julius Caesar and Nero. The city was known for its complex system of underwater tunnels and chambers, some of which were designed to create unique bathing experiences. Over time, the city started to experience periods of uplift and subsidence caused by volcanic activities, leading to its eventual submergence to the bottom of the ocean. In the late 19th century, archaeologists in Greece unearthed an extraordinary precision-cut tomb, and I'll show you its ancient acoustic properties in this video. Known as the Treasury of Atreus, this is no ordinary burial site. Constructed around 1250 BCE, this 3,200-year-old ancient structure is also known as the Tomb of Agamemnon. The beehive tomb features a grand entrance, a long passageway, and a massive 14.5-meter high dome chamber. Some of the stones here weigh an estimated 120 tons, and what's extraordinary is that they have been lifted and held in place with no mortar. But what truly baffles experts is the tomb's acoustic properties. When standing inside the chamber, even the faintest whisper can be heard clearly. In 1990, when construction workers were digging in the Shaanxi province in China, they accidentally stumbled across a 2,000-year-old tomb of an emperor. Shortly after the discovery, archaeological excavations began, and what they found shocked everybody. The tomb complex covers an area of 20 square kilometers and includes 86 burial pits, arranged symmetrically around the central tomb mound. The tomb itself was a treasure trove of ancient artifacts, including 7,000 miniature terracotta human and animal figures, over 100 metal weapons, including swords and daggers, 50 miniature wooden chariots, and several coffins. Mysteriously, there were several stone tablets also discovered, of which the information as to what they contained does not seem to be publicly available. And then there are these precision-cut symmetrical containers, which for the tools of the time are out of this world. In 1903, 19 years before the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb, Howard Carter uncovered something incredible. Right next to the mortuary temple of Queen Hatshepsut, after days of digging, the shovel struck a rock-cut facade hidden beneath the sand. They cleared it away to reveal the entrance to a 3,500-year-old ancient tomb. The tomb belonged to Senenmut, a very special advisor to Queen Hatshepsut. As Carter and his team explored the tomb, they noticed something unusual. The ceiling was divided into two main sections, depicting what looked to be the night sky and mysterious star constellations. Although Carter had quickly identified the astronomical features, little did he realize that this was a complex cosmological diagram. Scholars were shocked to find that the ceiling showed star constellations such as the Big Dipper and Sirius. It also depicted the 12 calendar months, clearly demonstrating that the ancient Egyptians had a sophisticated knowledge of astronomy. These intriguing ancient caves in the south of England are covered in many strange, mysterious carvings. The underground tunnels here span approximately 22 miles and can reach depths of over 150 feet. Its age has been subject to speculation over the years. Some believe that they were first used by Druids as early as 800 BC, but when a prehistoric skeleton was found dating back over 10,000 years, it forced historians to accept that they were in fact much older. Later, they were occupied by the Romans and eventually the Saxons. There is even folklore of a hidden Saxon hoard of gold somewhere within these tunnels. But as fascinating as the history is, there is something even more chilling about the Chislehurst caves. The tunnels of this ancient labyrinth are said to be haunted. Stories of ghostly apparitions and unexplained noises are commonly reported by visitors. But perhaps even more scary is the fact that nobody knows who created the creepy carvings all over the walls. If you look on Google Earth at South Africa and zoom in on this region, you'll see something strange. These ancient stone circles cover a surface area of over 6,200 square miles and are said to be up to 75,000 years old. The stone circles vary in size and design. Some are simple rings of stones, while others are complex networks of corridors and enclosures. No one really knows what they were built for, but mysteriously, the stones used in their construction are not found in this area of the world. In the 1950s, after an increasing interest in understanding the ancient cultures of the Mediterranean, Italian archaeologist Ercole Cantu discovered something incredible. Located near the town of Sassari in Sardinia, this 6,000-year-old ancient site is known as Monte da Cadi. This mysterious ancient complex includes a raised platform made of large limestone blocks, a ramp leading up to it, and various other associated structures. It is often compared to the Mesopotamian ziggurats. Excavations have also revealed evidence of animal sacrifices, altars, and other ritualistic activities, but the most intriguing discovery is this man-made stone artifact. Shaped like an egg, nobody is quite sure how it was made or what it was used for. But one thing is for sure, the usual narrative of chisels and hammers is not going to work for this one.